In this episode, organic food is a business.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 261 of the Daily Mother Swole, the only podcast when I flex, you flex, and we all flex our biceps. The most muscular podcast in the realm. The most muscular, absolutely biggest biceps on the airwaves. So if you want to hear me grow muscle live, you should check out my SoundCloud and iTunes. Every single episode of The Daily Swole is on SoundCloud and iTunes. And of course, you can catch every episode on YouTube and watching every day live at 12 noon Eastern Time at Swolenormous on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. You can find me everywhere. So if you're new to the show, thank you for joining me. I'll give you guys an extra flex if you're new. There you go. So the gains are real. They're real fucking massive. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about food gains. We're going to get into some nutrition talk. So thanks for sharing the broadcast. Thank you for joining me. Thank you also to my Swolenormous premium members, those of you that are part of my private membership group. Thank you so much for joining. If you're interested in some accountability meetings, remember tomorrow is Monday, so we have our accountability meeting on Monday, tomorrow at 1 p.m. after the Daily Swole. You can sign up at the sign up button on my Facebook page, or you can go to swolenormous.com. That being said, today's episode, organic food is a business. A lot of people talk about eating organic, and I had a lot of people messaging me about what I eat and that food is expensive. Eating healthy is expensive. I think it's just food in general is expensive. Of course, you shouldn't be eating fast food, you shouldn't be eating garbage, but let's talk about organic food in particular. Do you need it? What are some of the concepts behind it, some of the truths behind it, and some of the common sense realities that we all choose to ignore? The organic food industry explodes every year and has been growing exponentially since it got really popular about 5-10 years ago. It is a business. Let's start off with that. Organic industry, that label USDA organic, is a business. These companies like Quality Assurance International, QAI, these companies that certify things organic make a boatload of money. And these companies and farms and places that make these products to get that government certification for organic pay a shit ton of money to get that certification. So right off the bat, just because something doesn't say it's organic doesn't mean that it's not equally as healthy, because they might just not want to pay out the ass for these labels. Organic food is a business. Unfortunately, we have to make a designation or talk about food being organic as if it's different, as if it's special. It's the way food should be, in theory. But it's a business nonetheless. And what is the main goal of a business? It's to satisfy as consumer and blah, 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 but it's to stay in business. It's not a business if it goes out of business. So it's supposed to make money. It's supposed to make a profit and make money. Now, you can break down, if you're talking about actual business, how you serve the customer, you serve your clients, and you provide a service and a value. And yeah, okay, fine, but you still need to make money to be a business, a profitable business. So no matter what the product is, they're trying to sell it to you. They want you to buy it. They want you to buy the product. They want you to buy the food. They want you to buy the organic food. So they put things like gluten-free on a package of chicken. What the fuck? Why are you putting a gluten-free label on chicken? Yes, we know chicken doesn't have gluten in it in any aspect. Even if it's non-organic chicken or free-range chicken, meat doesn't have gluten in it. And they'll put things like fat-free or sugar-free or gluten-free or lactose-free. They'll put like lactose-free on packages of nuts. It's like it doesn't fucking have lactose in it to begin with. But they can say that because it's not untrue. It doesn't have lactose. It's lactose-free. But they'll advertise this shit. And half the people, 99% of the people that will buy something because it's gluten-free don't have the first fucking clue of what gluten is And second off, don't even know that if they really need to avoid it or not. So it's a huge issue. It's just a business. They're trying to sell you a product. They're trying to sell you a food. If it's in a store and it needs money to be purchased with, they want you to buy it. So they're going to do what it takes to get you to buy their product. And there are some companies, of course, that are more honorable or trying to make a better product than others. But bottom line, they need to sell it. They need you to buy it. Okay, so far? Makes sense, a business. We assume that organic food, because it's sprayed with organic pesticides, that it's safer. There's organic pesticides or natural pesticides, natural based, and there's synthetic. Now, synthetic ones are generally said to avoid because they can be carcinogenic, but what they don't tell you is that natural pesticides can also be carcinogenic. And there are a lot of studies that find that many of the natural pesticides that are used are carcinogenic as well. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. And if you think commonsensically about it, there are things in nature like plants and things that if you eat, they're poisonous and they can kill you. Not everything is good for you. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. Doesn't mean it's good for you. And there's some foods that are sprayed more than others, but just because it says organic, what do you think? Just because they say it's organic and magically bugs don't want those raspberries or blueberries, they don't want those grapes because it says the word organic on them? No, bugs are trying to eat the fuck out of those things like any other product. They have to spray those and treat them and put traps and nets and things the same way as any other plant. They just can't use technically equipment that has used a synthetic pesticide like within 3 years. They can't use the same soil that has used. But all these farms are so close to each other, and that's why things like flooding in the Midwest and other countries are issues, because flooding drags water from one farm to the next. So how far away does an organic crop field have to be from a conventional crop field? If there's a flood and it washes away all the stuff to another field, it gets tainted with, like, who's testing this? Who gives a shit? No one cares. And anyone that's trying to care and make a difference and do these tests, there's not a lot of money in it, because all the money is in the big hands of the pharmaceutical companies and the food companies. And, it's marketing. You're still going to buy it. You're still going to buy the Pop-Tarts. You're still going to buy the lettuce that, that has the conventional sprays and the conventional pesticides on them. You're still going to buy all this stuff. The smaller people and the smaller companies are trying to promote health and wellness, don't have the money and the funds to make a big enough dent. It's up to us, the people. Now, this could be good and bad. It's up to the people to make decisions, just like the supplement industry. The government puts the responsibility on the consumer to do the research and to see if it's safe for you. That's why it says the FDA has not evaluated, this to prevent any illness, disease, blah, blah, blah. That's why a lot of the shit in the supplement industry is garbage, and the active ingredients sometimes aren't even in the product because they don't test it. It's up to the consumer to be responsible and take what they think they should take, and so forth. So at least they're giving us a choice. At the same time, they can market the fuck out of it to stupid people and to people that just assume that other companies have their best interests in mind, which is not true. And human beings are naive. We assume by default that people are looking out for our interests and that things are safe because, it's on a shelf in a store, that it must be good. And that's not true. People are trying to make money. There's a lot of criminals. There's a lot of shitty fucking people out there that are trying to make a buck no matter what. And when the government doesn't have regulation, things go crazy. Just like the education system in this country. That all these schools and these for-profit schools that scam the government and don't place students after they train them. You'll take advantage of laws as long as you can get away with it until things get busted, until things crumble around you. And they'll make their money and they'll fucking run, they'll get away with it. That's how the law works. People will bend it to their will. Now, natural pesticides are still bad for you. They're still pesticides. Now, unless you know the farm personally, you're not going to be able to tell whether it's really going to be carcinogenic or not, unless you're a organic chemist and you can test these things in your own lab. But we're really at the whim of these companies and these farms, so you can grow your own shit, or you can try to make the best decisions you can and not worry about it so much. The whole system is really not weighed in the consumer's advantage. Pesticide companies do not care whether they sell you a natural pesticide or, a synthetic pesticide. They're selling you a pesticide. They don't give a shit. A pesticide sold is a pesticide sold. If they sell a pesticide, they're fine with it. It's just like a big cigarette company. If they make cigarettes and they also make Nicorette, they don't care if you smoke or if you quit. They're going to make money off the gum or the cigarettes. They don't give a shit. So a business is a business, and these parent companies own lots of sub companies. A lot of these parent companies that own these synthetic chemical corporations that make synthetic pesticides, they'll own companies underneath them that make natural pesticides. They still make money. That's why nothing's really changed. And as the organic industry grows and grows because of the labeling, guess what happens? They still make money hand over fist, and we still eat relatively, we pay more for food that is pretty much the same issue as the cheaper food, because we want to eat healthier, and they know that. They know that organic is a nice selling point. They know they can say pesticide free, blah, or this, that, and the other, or organic pesticides, or no synthetics used. You know what they do by saying that? No synthetics used? Natural ones are used, and they could still be causing fucking cancer and still be causing problems in your body. So it's almost like a lose-lose. Now, there's certain foods that are sprayed more than others, things like berries, and those like grapes and raspberries and strawberries and blueberries, and that's why they charge so much more, because those are more of like on like the list, and tomatoes and apples, and those are the ones that are more on the list of the top bad foods. And you could look up like the Dirty Dozen. Every year they update the list. It's usually the same. Certain foods that are sprayed most with chemicals. There's certain foods that you might want to choose organic, and this is not to say that organic food is bad and that natural pesticides are all bad. I'm not saying that, because I'm not a scientist. I don't have all the details, but I'm telling you that it can be equally as bad and detrimental, and it's not as healthy as you think it is. So when you're trying to eat healthier, you might be spending way too much money for a negligible difference in health benefits. You might still be sucking down natural pesticides that are causing you damage. That's all I'm trying to say, is that there's a lot of thievery and criminal activity behind the scenes. And it might not be illegal activity because the laws might be in their favor, but at the same time, it might be immoral. You just don't know about it. We want to believe that this celery is good for us. Well, is it organic celery? They charge $1 more, and they're making a lot more. They're making a lot more. They're making a lot more money. Some of these foods are double the cost of conventional, and you're paying it thinking you're getting a healthy product, and this one is fine. Well, it could still be causing issues for you. So how much more fine is it, is my point, okay? So certain foods will get sprayed more. You can look this up, Dirty Dozen, the most, the best foods to buy organic, and there's a lot of, discrepancy here. Some foods like apples have waxes on them, and there's a lot of stuff out there. And it kind of makes your head spin, and almost makes you want to be like, what, fuck it, I'll eat whatever I want. But you can still make good choices. I'm just opening your mind that it's a business. When you go to the supermarket, you give them money. You give them money for a product, and they want you to buy their product. Think about that. Why would they label things a certain way? Start looking at packaging. Start looking at all packaging as buy me, buy me, buy me. What are they putting out there that they want you to see to buy? And you'll start noticing certain colors that attract the eye. You start noticing certain things that they'll put, know this, know this, know this. They'll put a lot of times, no BPA or no like gluten-free or lactose-free on products that in no universe that we are aware of would have lactose or gluten. But they'll advertise it as if this is special, it doesn't have gluten in it. This is special, it doesn't have lactose. Yeah, it's a fucking apple. Why would it have lactose or gluten? It's things like that. That's what I'm saying. And they prey on the lack of knowledge. They prey on the ignorance of the public, and they make money hand over fist. They just bank huge, and then the problem becomes worse and worse. So unless you have intimate knowledge of the farm or where you're getting your food from, you have to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical and make the best decisions you can. And food, organic food, and eating healthy is not as expensive as you think. Sweet potatoes, you don't need to buy organic, for example, like 79, 80 cents a pound. White rice, cheap as shit. Whole eggs, even grass-fed beef, you weigh it out, and you weigh out the medical costs and the fulfillment and the caloric density. You're eating generally less, and you're getting more nutrients for what you're purchasing. So a lot of times in the long run, it actually comes out to be a lot less. So don't be scammed into thinking and looking at the package. You look at a bag of Doritos or Tostitos, it's $3-4, and it's like half empty, and it's filled with empty calories. So you think about $3 or $4, that could be, a dozen organic eggs or whatever it is. So it really isn't that bad. You, as a consumer, and those of you that are watching the Daily Swole, watching on YouTube, listening on SoundCloud and iTunes, you and us as a country and as a community, we need to take responsibility for what we do to our bodies because no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. The government doesn't give a fuck about you. The businesses certainly don't give a fuck about you. They give a fuck about you only to the point where they can make money off you. They give a fuck. They want you to stay alive so you can buy their product. And if you get sick, well, guess what? The pharmaceutical companies swoop in and they give you medication. So it's this cycle, and there's these companies that make food, that make pesticides, and also make they're pharmaceutical companies. They make both. They make pesticides and they make medicine. They make money whether you're healthy or whether you're sick. They just make money and make money. And there are a few companies in the world that own all these other companies. That's why they get so much money, because they own all these sub companies. You know, they're like Hershey. I mean, they're really all these candy companies and chemical companies. They're owned by companies like, you know, UBX or ZIT and things like you've never even heard of, because they're behind the scenes conglomerates that just own all these massive, massive, massive corporations. So this is not a conspiracy theory. This is just fact. And when you break down, you look at the supermarket and you look and you see what they want you to buy. And when you go into the supermarket, I want you to do this. I want you to look at what the supermarket is doing and what the food companies are doing. They pay for the end caps. They pay for placement. They pay for product placement. They have representatives come in and they'll pay extra to be on the top shelf, to be at eye level. They'll pay to be at the end cap. They'll pay to be up front by the register. They'll pay to be, you know, on a special display when you walk in. They pay for that. They pay for that. So when you see things that are on sale up front, when you have certain, you know, displays and certain product placement on the shelf, none of this is by accident. Start looking, and it's not the matrix, it's just reality. When you walk into the supermarket, everything on the shelf wants you to pick it up. Everything on the shelf wants you to pick it up. So when you go to the supermarket, I want you to think, every time you buy something, look at it. When you go to get eggs, I want you to look and see what the advertising is. I want you to see the color of the packaging. I want you to see the words they put on the side. What are they trying to get you to see? You can still make your purchases, but just try to be more aware for fun. You know, use it as like a little game and be like, okay, I want to get bacon, or I'm looking to get eggs, or I'm looking to get almond milk, or whatever, butter, or whatever it is, and just step back and look at the display and just kind of see, all right, who's like, you know, trying to stand out. What's the packaging look like? What does the label look like? What are the advertising on the label? Where is it on the shelf? Is it high? Is it low? Think about that. Think about that. When you open your mind up to different things, you start realizing, well, is this really that much better? Or are they just making it look that much better so I pay for it? And a lot of times the latter is the case. They just want you to buy it. Everything is marketing. Everything is a business. They want you to buy it. Yeah, it's food. Yeah, we need it. And they know it. And that's why they can charge whatever the fuck they want and get away with what they do. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 261 of The Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular podcast in the realm. When I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Thank you so much for joining me for 261. I will see all of you tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time for episode 262. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.